สวัสดีค่ะในบทที่94นี้เป็นการทบทวนการใช้ preposition คือคำอุปบทนะคะที่มีหน้าที่เชื่อมคำนามเข้ากับคำอื่นๆในประโยคอาจเชื่อมคำนามกับคำนามหรือคำอื่นกับคำนามก็ได้นะคะวิธีใช้ทั่วๆไปนะคะใช้เพื่อบอกตำแหน่งแห่งที่เช่น on the beach บนชายหาด on these pages ในหน้าหนังสือเหล่านี้ in the park ในสวนสาธารณะนะคะหรือบอกสถานที่เช่น they got married in London เขาแต่งงานกันในกรุงลอนดอนและมีวิธีใช้ preposition ซึ่งเป็นสำนวนนะคะไม่ได้ใช้เพื่อบอกตำแหน่งแห่งที่เช่น on foot they go on foot เขาเดินไป they go on foot หรือ they got married in secret เขาแต่งงานกันอย่างลับๆหรือเขาแต่งงานกันอย่างเงียบๆไม่บอกใคร they got married in secretแล้วก็วิธีใช้ preposition ก่อนคำกริยานะคะคำกริยานั้นจะลงท้ายด้วย ing แล้วก็ทำหน้าที่เป็นคำนามที่เรียกว่า gerund เช่น he left without saying goodbye saying เป็น gerund นะคะ without เป็น preposition ซึ่งนำหน้าเขาจากไปโดยที่ไม่ร่ำลา he left without saying goodbye อีกตัวอย่างหนึ่งนะคะพบบ่อยๆในจดหมาย we look forward to hearing from you เราหวังว่าจะได้รับคำตอบจะได้ยินจากคุณนะคะ to เป็น preposition ต่อด้วย hearing เป็น gerund we look forward to hearing from you และเราก็จะได้มีโอกาสทบทวนการใช้ preposition ที่ใช้ควบคู่ไปกับ adjective นะคะแต่ละคำจะกำหนดให้ใช้กับ preposition ตัวใดตัวหนึ่งนะคะจะใช้สลับที่กันไม่ได้เช่น good at interested in ready for afraid of นะคะในฐานะที่เราเป็นชาวต่างชาติเนี่ยเราอาจจะต้องใช้วิธีจำช่วยด้วยนะคะหรือว่าจำเป็นตัวอย่างประโยคหรือสถานการณ์ก็จะช่วยให้จำได้ดียิ่งขึ้นติดตามเนื้อหาได้เลยค่ะ
Unit 94 Prepositions Various points
Speaking and listening. Prepositions before particular expressions.
Listen.
I remember my wedding day very clearly. I got married in...
In London?
No, in...
In winter?
No, in...
In church? In secret?
No, in a smart suit.
Oh.
I got married in a really smart suit. And my wife was in...
In tears?
No, in white. My wife was in white. We had some photographs taken by...
By a photographer?
No, by the river. We had some photographs taken by the river in the...
In the park?
No, in the...
In the afternoon?
No, in the rain.
Listen.
Do you remember your wedding day?
How could I forget it after,
After only 2 years?
No, after what happened at the reception.
What was that?
Well, Susan's father got angry and left without,
Without saying goodbye?
No, without,
Without eating his piece of the wedding cake?
No, without making his speech.
Oh.
Yes, he left without making his speech. And as he left, he accidentally locked the door and no one else could get out.
Really?
Yes. Still, finally, we all got out by...
By midnight?
No, by climbing through a window. We all got out by climbing through a window. It was a very memorable day.
What was it that made Susan's father angry?
Oh, he was angry about,
About having you as a son-in-law?
No. He was angry about what I was wearing.
What were you wearing?
Well, I decided to get married in my uniform.
What's wrong with that? Were you in the army at the time?
No, I was a milkman.
Oh.
Prepositions after particular expressions.
Listen and answer.
Are you afraid of heights?
Are you good at sports?
Are you usually polite to people?
Are you anxious about the future?
Are you interested in history?
Listen.
I remember my wedding day very clearly.
Were you in white?
Yes, I was in white, and so was George.
Really?
Yes, he was wearing his long white milkman's coat and his milkman's cap, of course.
Well, that was very original.
Yes, typical of George. My father wasn't very happy about it. In fact, he was absolutely furious about it. He left the reception without making his speech.
Well, I'm not surprised he was angry with George.
He was angry with me, too. He said I should have stopped George doing it.
How did you feel about it?
Oh, I didn't mind him wearing his milkman's uniform. Things could have been worse. We'd originally planned to get married a couple of months earlier. And a couple of months earlier, he was working as a lifeguard on the beach.
Listen.
Do you remember your wedding day?
Oh, yes. But I don't talk about it very often.
Why not?
It consisted of one disaster after another. We borrowed an old Rolls Royce from some friends, and it broke down on the way to the church. My parents didn't like Norman's parents, so they didn't speak to each other for most of the day. And at the reception, Norman insisted on playing the drums with the band, and he must be the worst drummer in the world.
It sounds like an interesting day.
Well, looking back on it, it seems very amusing. But it wasn't quite so amusing at the time.
I've never seen your wedding photographs. Didn't you have any taken?
Oh, yes. We had some photographs taken. In the rain.
In the rain?
Yes. The photographer said, don't look at the camera. Of course, he meant, look at each other. Anyway, in most of the photographs, I'm looking at Norman, and Norman's looking at the ground, or the trees, or the sky, or the river. I'll show them to you sometime if you like.
Yes, I'll look forward to that. We've got some good wedding photos too, actually. My favourite one is of George climbing through a window in his milkman's uniform.
Sentences ending with a preposition.
Listen to these quotations. You will recognize 3 of them from previous units.
There was a clock in the room which the stranger often turned to look at.
Charles Dickens, Martin Chuzzlewit.
That man's silence is wonderful to listen to.
Thomas Hardy, Under the Greenwood Tree.
They found plenty of things to be delighted with, but nothing to be astonished at.
Mark Twain, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
That's enough to begin with, Humpty Dumpty interrupted.
Lewis Carroll, Through the Looking Glass.
Now listen to these questions and answer them.
Do you have a hobby that you're especially keen on? Is there a particular kind of special English that you're interested in? Are there any sports that you're really good at? Is there anything that you're really afraid of?
Song.
You can depend on me.
When you need someone to depend on, oh, you can depend on me. When you think that hope is gone, you can always depend on me. When you are all alone and blue, and you think no one cares about you, when you need someone to depend on, you can depend on me. When you need someone to talk to,
Attitudes.
Listen.
George!
Hello, Julia. This is a surprise. Fancy meeting you here.
I'm working just round the corner at the moment.
Well, well, well. What a small world. How are you?
Fine.
I was talking to Norman the other day. He was telling me about your wedding. I never heard the full story before. I was very impressed.
Impressed?
Yes. It sounds as if you had a really wonderful day.
Well, I wouldn't say that exactly. You could call it an eventful day or a memorable day, but wonderful isn't quite the right word. Frankly, I was relieved when it was over.
I heard about the photographs in the rain.
With Norman looking totally bewildered, yes. And I suppose he told you about the car breaking down.
Yes.
And about the drums.
The drums?
Yes. At the reception, he insisted on playing the drums with the band. Didn't he tell you about that?
Oh, yes. Well, he said it was the band who insisted on it.
Well, I like that. It was all his idea.
And he's not the greatest drummer in the world, is he?
Oh, that is the understatement of the year. He's absolutely terrible. Still, I hear from Susan that you had an eventful wedding day too.
Yes, you could say that. A day filled with happiness, sadness, anger, shock, excitement and confusion.
We must get together soon. We'll bring our photos. You can see us standing in the rain, smiling bravely.
And you can see Susan's father looking absolutely furious and the rest of us climbing through a window.
Great, we'll look forward to it. See you soon.
Keep smiling.
Synopsis.
Dialogue.
So it's not long now until the big day.
That's right.
About 2 weeks.
Well, I hope it's a marvellous day for you. Don't listen to people when they start telling you about their weddings, about how it rained all day and everything went wrong and so on.
What was your wedding day like?
Oh, quite memorable, actually. As a matter of fact, it rained all day and everything went wrong. No, I'm only joking. It wasn't like that at all. Although, of course, we had some problems later. Anyway, that's another story. Incidentally, Jeff,
Yes?
you weren't planning on calling me Uncle William, were you?
No, I don't think I could get used to that.
Nor could I. Just call me William.
Okay, although that'll probably take a little getting used to as well.
Oh, true. But you can't go on calling me Mr. Jones, can you?
I guess not.
There was something else I wanted to ask you about. What was it? Oh, yes. Will you want to travel a little less after you're married?
Well, I'd prefer that if possible.
We've talked about it quite often, actually.
Oh, good. Because I've had quite a few ideas for reorganizing the company, and I've got some suggestions. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Oh, this isn't a working lunch. We're not here on business. I wanted us to have lunch together today so that I could wish you both lots of happiness. So, cheers.
Thank you, Uncle William.
Jeff, you're a lucky man.
I know.
Well, I feel the same. I think he's a lucky man, too.
ในบทนี้เราได้พบบทบาทของ preposition หลายอย่างนะคะและทั่วๆไปเนี่ยเราจะมองว่า preposition เป็นคำเชื่อมแต่เราก็ได้พบว่า preposition ใช้ลงท้ายประโยคก็ได้นะคะแล้วก็จะพบบ่อยในภาษาพูดเช่น speak when you're spoken to พูดเมื่อมีคนพูดด้วยหมายความว่าให้ตอบนั่นเองลงท้ายด้วย to นะคะ speak when you're spoken to There's nothing for you to worry about ไม่มีอะไรที่จะต้องเป็นกังวลนะคะ worry about ลงท้ายด้วย about There's nothing for you to worry about What are you afraid of คุณกลัวอะไรลงท้ายด้วย of นะคะ What are you afraid of ลองฝึกใช้ดูนะคะแล้วก็ดูซิว่าเวลา คนอื่นโดยเฉพาะชาวต่างชาติใช้คำเหล่านี้เราเข้าใจแล้วก็สื่อสารกันได้มากน้อยแค่ไหนพบกันใหม่ในบทหน้าค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ